Yeah, the Wolves game, what do you think?
It was terrible.
Yeah. He's a seriously good player. And every time he gets on the ball, there's like a... Some people seem to think he's on the level of like a Lamine Yamal.
Stop right here before you go, some people.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Chelsea Exposed. This week's episode, we are in a brand new studio. Look at this. We're only here, unfortunately, for 1 week because our regular studio is not available. But I'm here, joined with Jack Rosser. We're going to be talking all things Wolves, Estevao, Enzo Fernandez in this episode. So Lockings is going to be a good one. There's so much room for activities in here. Jack, how was your weekend?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good. Not quite as long and, well, maybe not as enjoyable, but definitely not as long as yours. Trekking home from a late kickoff. We all love those 8 p.m. kickoffs, don't we?
Yeah, those Saturday 8 p.m s. I think we should just banish them altogether. I'm okay if they just get rid of them.
If they die a death.
Yeah, for me, getting home from those is a pain in the backside, to put it lightly and politely. But yeah, the Wolves game. What do you think? Do you enjoy it?
As is, well, I suppose fitting with those 8 o'clock kickoffs, it was terrible.
Yeah.
The first half was, I think, you can put that kickoff in on top of the fact that Chelsea had a 5,000-mile round trip to Baku and back. They got back early hours of Thursday morning and then straight on to that Saturday 8 p.m. kickoff. The first half was utterly woeful.
Yeah.
Wolves, I mean, we've seen some bad Premier League sides in the last few years, Leicester, Southampton, those sort of teams. Wolves are up there. They're really gunning for it at the moment. They were appalling. Chelsea, their usual sort of, oh my God, it's a back five.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for the first half? Plodding along, not really knowing what to do, getting it out wide, hoiking some crosses in. But Maresca said he was really pleased with it, I think.
Which, of course he was.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be? There weren't many people in the press box too pleased with it, or in the stands. They were booed off at half-time, which I'm still not quite sure about. It's not as if they were 1-0, 2-0 down to a horrendous team. But there were a couple of sort of flashes. They started fast and just couldn't quite keep that up. But definitely some positives to take from it, especially that second half. They came out and quickly, gifted a goal with the way Wolves defended for Malagustos. Yeah, I mean, you know you're bad if a fullback scoring his first career goal after 160, 170 games against you. But there was a lot more energy in that second half. Enzo Fernandez throughout was the one player that looked like he was going to do something.
Yeah.
Estevao came on and had another big moment in sort of just shifting the mood, really lifting the whole of Stamford Bridge. Garnacho was impressive as well. So some things to take from it. A couple of, the way they played in the first half, not great. Liam Delap still really not quite up to it and finding his feet. But no, a lot of positives to take apart from the kickoff time.
Yeah, well, Wolves, firstly, they're so bad. I didn't realise, when we played them in the Cup, I didn't realise they were that poor. But I genuinely think, I said after the game, I think they're one of the worst Premier League teams I've ever seen. Probably the worst Premier League team I've seen come to Stamford Bridge since I started this job. I saw Southampton come, and even I didn't think they were that bad. Wolves seriously are awful. But like you said, it was a second half. Everything seemed to change in the second half. And it was the introduction, really, of Estevao that changed everything for Chelsea.
It was. I mean, they were already ahead. They'd turned the tide before that. But weirdly, going a goal down sort of reminded Wolves that they were allowed to run forwards at times, because they'd sort of set out to do what Sunderland did in terms of keep it tight, allow Chelsea to put the crosses in, that being their only route to create anything and head them away. Unlike Sunderland, they weren't capable of heading them away and just left a player unmarked, and Malagusto made the most of it at a nice moment for him. After that, it shifted the sort of, I think I put in the match report, the briefest of surges from Wolves, and Estevao came on and just lifted the mood a bit, took the tension away, took his man on, and obviously with a bit of help from a deflection on his cross, crafted that goal really early on, and another very nice moment for him. And the more that he can be dripped in and have these moments, the more he will feel an established Premier League player. Maresca saying that he's ready to start from the off, ready to go in, but that means someone drops out. And if Garnacho is going to keep improving and Pedro Neto continues to be the only reliable one. He's the only one to have started every Premier League game so far. Then Estevao's going to have a fight to get in, but he's putting forward a very good case.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things with Estevao is because he's not starting games, people, in my opinion, don't seem to really be realising how good of a talent this guy is. Everyone recognises he's got great potential, but he's a seriously, seriously good player. And I play five-a-side every Monday. I'm not about to compare myself to Estevao, just in case you were wondering.
You do have some ridiculous takes, but I think that would top it.
Yeah, I'm far from an Estevao myself, but I was having a conversation when I was playing, or when I was warming up to play, that some people seem to think he's on the level of like a Lamine Yamal. He's in that bracket.
We'll just stop right here before you go. Some people.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that thinks he's in.
We can get back to those ridiculous.
In the same conversation. I'm not saying he's as good as Yamal yet, but I think he will be in that conversation by the end of the season if he's not already. And then there are some people that think like, well, he's not even starting, so he can't be that good.
No, there are some sensible people, thankfully.
But I think he is that level. He's to that standard. He's just not being afforded the game time to prove that he's there.
I suppose we can start making that comparison when he scored in the equivalent of 3 Clásicos before he turned 18, scored in a European, so an incredible goal in a Euro semi-final. I was lucky enough to be at that game, and he was 16 doing that as well, cutting in and bending it into the far side, scoring in Champions League semi-finals, driving one of the world's biggest clubs to a title. So, yeah, like, sure, Estevao's on that level. No, he's a very, very good player. He's an exciting player that can shift the mood. Maresca clearly believes in him because he's putting him on. Wolves at home isn't a difficult situation, but you know, as we've just said, there was a bit of tension there still. He's throwing him in. He started him in the Champions League again, Karabag, but proved to be a difficult game, and he made his impact there as well. I think they're doing the right thing in terms of not running him into the ground, because we've seen, you know, if you're going to take the Yamal comparison, we've seen Pedri there be run into the ground and miss so much time through injury that it completely kills them. Estevao certainly isn't at that level yet. As I said, Yamal's been doing it since he was 16 on the biggest stage. He could get to somewhere near there. We need 2-3 seasons to see if he is that level. We need international tournaments. He's going to be playing in London with Brazil, you would hope, this coming weekend, playing Senegal at the Emirates. So another chance for him to do something big. And then you've got the World Cup coming at the end of the season as well. I think he's in the perfect position at the moment. He's loved by the fans. They all want more. Maresca, clearly a big fan, clearly has a lot of confidence in what he can do. And when he's coming on, there haven't been too many games so far where you think, because with young players, you sort of either get an 8 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10, and it's putting them together really and bringing the 4 up. We haven't really had any of those yet. We've not seen him put in an absolute thinker, which I think is down to the way they're managing him and the way they're bringing him in and out and giving him the right moment in the right game to go and really make an impact and keep building his confidence. Yeah, I do also agree that Maresca is doing the right thing by not chucking him in straight into the spotlight, because like you said, we saw it with Pedri and we've seen it with Lamine Yamal as well, that these young players, they get thrusted in so early in their career and all of a sudden they're playing every game, and then by the time Yamal struggled with injuries this season and he's what is he, 18? Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's a couple of years younger than Estevao. Yeah, I mean, that is just insane that Yamal is at that level. He's just one of a kind. Just more evidence for the argument as well. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying they're in the same bracket, but I think... But you are saying they're in the same bracket. Well, they're kind of... I do kind of think they are in the same bracket. I just love Estevao. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And I think Chelsea got steal in what they paid for him. They paid a significant amount of money for such a young player, but I'd pay Palmeiras the same again to have this level of player at Chelsea. And just... I think another thing that he brings to the game is when he comes on, the whole crowd gets it. It gives the team something extra, that the whole crowd gets behind him. Every time he gets on the ball, there's like he's got the ball, he's going to do something. And that was what we saw in the Wolves game. Is he comes on, it felt like everyone held their breath when he got the ball and didn't exhale until the ball was in the back of the net from João Pedro. He's just such a
talented player. And honestly, my favourite Chelsea player. Thank God we've got him in the absence of Cole Palmer, because I could just rattle on about him for days. But we do need to move on to someone else. We need to talk about other people, because otherwise I will spend the whole time comparing Estevao to Messi, whoever. He's just brilliant.
Estevao correspondent.
Yeah, that's me. That's my new job title. We got a new studio for 1 week. I've got a new job for 1 week. It's just Estevao reporter. That's my new title. But we also need to talk about the other wing for Chelsea, because Garnacho was actually really, really impressive, I thought, against Wolves. And it's the first. He's quietly been building up some good form, I think, since the Champions League game. I think it was against Benfica where he knocks the ball across and Rios, I think, tapped it into his own net. But since that game, he's quietly been building up, and there was so much when they signed Garnacho, there was so much controversy because of his attitude and all these extra things. Like no one doubted he was a player with a really high ceiling and a really big talent, but it was a case
that... He doesn't help himself looking so damn miserable all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he has really shown up, I think, for Chelsea in the past few weeks, no more so than he did against Wolves. So what did you make of his performance?
He made a very good impact. I think the first few weeks you got really frustrated in watching him down that left wing when he was coming in, when he was starting, and just not really taking on his man, because he can push it forward, he can beat him for pace and make something happen from that side. And we weren't seeing enough of it. It was get the ball, check back, go somewhere else. And that's the side of Maresca's football, whether it's Maresca or it's Garnacho that was doing it out of a lack of confidence, that frustrates Stamford Bridge. They were booing when passes went backwards. At the weekend, it's something that Maresca's been asked about ever since he was at the club. Yeah, the reaction to some of those more negative passes and not just going straight at your man. Pedro Neto, whether he gets an assist out of it or not, will relentlessly run at his man and track back and do that work as well, which is another side of Garnacho's game that is coming on, and Maresca has been praising him for as well, sort of putting that effort in off the ball or against the ball, more than what managers like to say. But he has certainly. I remember they had Lincoln away in the early rounds of the Carabao Cup. He started, might have been his first start for Chelsea, didn't really get a kick. The whole of the Lincoln end, the home end, were on his back every touch. A lot of rough tackles going in, and he was hooked off in the second half to the delights of Sincil Bank, and having not really made an impact. And you did sit and worry about whether he'd really get going, because he'd arrived with all that baggage from Manchester United, being in their bomb squad, falling out with a manager, and then we were just waiting for something to kickstart it. And it's not been a goal and then he's exploded. Like you said, it's been a slow build up. Yeah. He is really starting to make an impact. The ball in for Gusto was a really clever cross right into the perfect area for him to head in. He really couldn't miss it. Someone with a scoring record like that would have been able to knock it in. And it just adds, because you've seen they've got so many options out wide. Yeah. And it can be a hard decision as to where to go. Gittins has had his flashes, and then did really well against Wolves in the Cup, scored an incredible goal, created a couple of goals, dropped to the bench for Garnacho for the Sunderland game. Garnacho gets his goal as well in that Sunderland game, and then flips back and everyone's frustrated again, really, because of what happens later in that game, and he doesn't get the attention he deserves for that. But he is starting to get there and looking like the weapon that they need. And as we've spoken about with all this rotation and whether Maresca's a tin command or not, you need wingers that you can rely upon to do something, especially if Chelsea are going to continue to struggle at times against tight defences. Yeah, I think it was a really nice moment as well when he did get the assist for Neto, that Neto, he almost ran off to one side and then turned around and thought, no, I'll go and celebrate with Garnacho, and they both sat on the advertising hoardings together. He's insistent on making that a thing again. Yeah, he's tried it after this other game and was trying to get somebody to come over and sit with him, and didn't get the full trio, and I think it was just two of them again, so he's slowly getting there. Yeah, so we've got Palmer's freezing cold celebration. We've got João Pedro does this, something like this, isn't it? Or is it that? I think it's this. I'm not going to attempt. And then we've got Garnacho sitting, I was going to go and sit on the desk, but maybe, I don't think you would join me if I did. And then we got Garnacho celebration as well. So celebrations all round for Chelsea. And another player that you touched on there was Enzo Fernandez. I'll give a shout out to Tobes on TikTok, who I watch a lot of his videos, but he said that Fernandez in this game
looked a lot like the 22-23 Enzo Fernandez, when he had the number 5 on his back. He had the blonde streaks in his hair, a bit like Garnacho did, or Garnacho does. And it was very different Enzo Fernandez performance, I thought, this one, to what we've seen from him usually this season, where he's been making these kind of late Lampardian runs into the box and scoring pretty freely from inside the box, whether that be with his feet or with his head or whatever. He crashes into the box and he's almost been that box crashing type of midfielder. But this performance was very different because he was a bit deeper. He just controlled the game. That was what I thought was different about this Fernandez performance. So tell me what you made of it.
Yeah, no, I thought he was really good because he's looked best really this season when he's been, like you said, in that more forward role, filling in where Cole Palmer would normally be. Caicedo has had heaps and heaps of praise in recent weeks after, rightfully so as well, some fantastic performances. Wasn't quite at that level against Wolves, I didn't think. He was fine, but not, this incredible all-encompassing midfielder we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But he's one of the three. Fernandez is another one, João Pedro as well, that's still playing with a bit of discomfort week in, week out, which is to all of their credit.
Yeah.
Fernandez, the first half, as we mentioned, was torrid. It was an awful watch. Everyone was a bit sleepy already because of the kickoff time, and that wasn't helping. But Fernandez was the one player that really looked like he'd make something happen.
Yeah.
Forced a couple of saves, nearly scored from a corner that was cleared off the line. He played two really smart balls, good and smart balls. One clipped over for Garnacho one-on-one, should have scored, should have had an assist there. And he sent one from deep, just ripped it straight away into Liam Delap, and he couldn't quite make the most of it. But it's that intelligence to know. And what's impressed me about him all season, really, we mentioned how the sort of plodding sideways football frustrates a lot of people, not less us sat there watching and having to need something to write about. Fernandez's passes this season have been rattled forward, trying to keep the pace up, get things going, and he's obviously got that energy and aggression in midfield. I think Dean did on our Tactics Exposed sort of sister channel, did a lot
Good plug there.
Good praise on him. I'm getting there. Did a lot of good praise on him and sort of filling out this role that he does exactly what the manager needs him to do on the pitch. But he manages to do that and bring some of the more exciting stuff to the game as well. He really is looking... There have been so many questions over those two, really, as to why they spent quite that much money. Yeah. And now we're seeing both of them at their level at the same time across a fair few weeks that sort of prove why. I still think it would be hard for Chelsea to get too much more in for them. If they were ever to sell one of them than they paid for them, they could probably make a bit of profit there. But they're both looking like the midfielders they were built to be.
Yeah, they to me at least, Caicedo, I think, has justified. He's shown this season that is £100 million midfielder, and more performances from Enzo Fernandez like that one against Wolves, and he'll be well on his way to doing exactly the same thing. And the last thing we should talk about today is, I've seen a lot of talk this week about Arsenal's defence and comparing it to that Chelsea 04-05 defence of Terry, Carvalho, that centre-back pairing. Do you think there's any chance that Arsenal break the record? I personally think...
I know this is really upsetting.
It's extremely safe. Arsenal will not come close to breaking that record.
Before the weekend, I would have said there's every chance they could go and do it.
Right.
Shipping two to Sunderland, although Sunderland are looking more and more impressive with every week, you go into the game of the weekend with from a Chelsea perspective thinking, well, they need to do better against these weaker teams.
Yeah. Putting
Sunderland in that bracket, and then they go and get a point against the team that are supposedly the champions-elect already and walk into a title. So Sunderland are stepping up each and every week, and it's not looking at a better result for Chelsea because it's still a disappointing one to a promoted team at home, but looking maybe a bit more understandable in the circumstances. Look, Arsenal have got an incredible defence.
Yeah.
Whether they're on that level of that Chelsea defence, not quite yet, but Saliba and Gabriel are a partnership that could stand up to almost any in Premier League history the way they've done it for the last few years. Well, we'll see.
They can't.
I think they have to. And again, you filled me in on this, but I think they probably will just fall short in terms of the goals they're averaging. Yeah. They'll hit 15, 32, 33 games in if they keep going like this. And of course, you never know with Arsenal. They've had some muscle injury problems over the years. If they can keep those two going all the way through, that's going to be their biggest worry, really, whether a striker drops out or they've got depth everywhere. And while they've got depth at the back, they've got no depth that can match that. So it will be an incredible task if they could do, but I'm not going to quite write them off from making it yet.
Do you think it will ever be broken?
It could be broken this season, yeah.
I don't think it will ever be broken, but we could sit here and debate that all day long. That is unfortunately all we got time for on this episode of Chelsea Exposed. Thank you very much, Jack, for joining me, and thank you to you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Leave us a comment to let us know what you think of the Estevao and Yamal debate. Are you on my side? You think Estevao is in that bracket? Or do you agree with Jack? You think he needs a bit more time, a few more seasons to prove that he's at that level? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.